Stop splitting your energy across multiple income streams. I've finally cracked the full-time composer code. Here's what I did. All right, so if you know me or you follow me, you know that I am on a journey to leave my 9-to-5 job and to do music full-time, and my target date is 2028. If you want to learn all about that journey, you want to see what happens, follow this channel. It's been a crazy ride so far. I have learned a lot of lessons along the way. So if you're interested in getting your music into TV and film and making more money with your music, follow me so you can learn those lessons early and not actually have to go through some of the things I've been through. All right, but let's get right into it. So much has changed just since the beginning of this year. When I started this year, I had big lofty goals, right? I wanted to make at least $26,000 by the end of the year in just my side hustle music. Part of that strategy was to get more involved with Upwork, be a freelancer, see if I could find music jobs on there to supplement the income. And so it made it more realistic, right? But before that, I did a 90-day challenge. And the more I did the 90-day challenge, the more my goals started to change, the more peace I felt. And now I'm in a much more calm, steady pace where it doesn't matter if I make full-time, if I become a full-time composer by 2028, it doesn't really matter as much. I know I'm making progress. I know I'm going towards that goal. So I've changed my goal to a more realistic one. So I started following a guy named Rob Dial, the Mindset Mentor, and I watch one of his podcasts every morning. I'll share a link in the description here if you want to learn more about that. But it's all about, instead of focusing on the goal, right? Be a full-time composer by 2028. It's about becoming the person who is a full-time composer. The person who, puts the work in, is consistent, can, learn to figure things out, that is calm, that can problem solve, that can create amazing music, that can get in touch with their soul, all of those types of things, right? So it's not just about the goal. And before, I was really focused on that goal. And if I didn't hit that goal, I would be disappointed. So, and another problem was I have a tendency to put myself in a big hurry, even when I don't need to be in a big hurry. So if you're that type of person where you feel like your shoulders are up around your ears all day and you're trying to get all of these tasks done and you multitask and you try to get all of this done and you're putting a lot of pressure on yourself, I have to tell you that's a hard way to live. There is an easier way. It's all about reprogramming your subconscious in the morning. If you want to learn more about that, you can watch Rob Dial, but I also have a 90-day challenge where I put it on YouTube. I still need to record and post the wrap up to that, but that's the key. Start doing that. Start with your mindset. Start with changing your identity, and everything else will fall into place. Okay? So that being said, I'm going to bring out the spreadsheet. We're going to review the progress that we had in Q1 of this year, 2026. I'm going to share real numbers. I'm going to share real placements. I'm going to let you know exactly what you're in for. So if you're thinking about turning your music in for TV and film, you recognize what the journey's like. This has been a year and 3 months in, so you have a realistic expectation, right? So let's go. All right, so here is the breakdown of Q1, how we did with expenses, how we did with profits, how many placements we got, all of that kind of stuff, and it's listed right here on a spreadsheet. So first of all, total expenses, total income was $2748.82, which all of last year I made about $6,800, so that's already a huge jump, and that's without getting any upfront consideration fees like I got last year with one of my projects. So that's pretty good. I'm pretty excited about this. It's starting to snowball. I always use the analogy. If you watch my video, you probably heard this analogy a million times, but of bamboo, of Chinese bamboo, because it really it spells out exactly how the sync journey goes. So when you plant bamboo, when you plant Chinese bamboo, You put the seeds in, you water it, you take care of it, you give it sunlight, you give it nutritious soil, all of that, right? Think of that as the work you're putting into the music you're creating for sync. You're learning how to format it correctly, you're learning how to mix, you're learning what's in demand, knowing the market, what's in demand, creating things that are going to be easily picked up and are going to be in demand, all of those types of things, right? And it's a lot. It's a big learning curve. So that's the kind of year one is doing all of that. And then, you'll look at the end of year one and you'll look at the ground and nothing's popping up, right? And then you do it again, Chinese bamboo, you look in year two, nothing's popping up. You look in year three, nothing's popping up, right? But then something magical happens somewhere around year four where within 6 weeks' time, it shoots up like 30 feet. And you have these 30-foot stalks of bamboo, just this huge, reward for it. And the reason that it takes so long for it to grow is that it's building this intricate network of a root system, right? Because of all that work you're putting in, it's building something that can support that success. So that's what you're doing in the beginning. You are becoming the person that can be called upon for high dollar music gigs. And there's a lot of skills and there's a lot of things you need to learn to do that. But that's what you're doing, so it takes a while. At least with, my journey, there's a little bit popping up out of the ground after year 1 and 2. I'm excited to see where this can take me, though. And I'm excited to see where it can take you if you're interested in this. Total expenses was $840, so my profit so far this quarter is $1,908.53. And this is all in U.S. dollars. I live in Canada, but this is U.S. dollar money. So 2,600 maybe, something like that in Canadian. All right. 1,847 of that, 1,864, almost 65 of that was in royalties from my ASCAP statement. I sold a couple beats. I don't add any more to my beat store. That's just something that just kind of pays me every once in a while, but I haven't added a new beat to the beat store in a long time. Upfront sync fees, consideration fees, I didn't get any of those. Placements this quarter, I've had 31, which is the biggest quarter I've had. And most of it came from 2 songs that were placed on Top Chef VIP. So they keep using these same 2 songs of mine or tracks of mine for certain situations. Like I think it's when it's the final showdown, right? So it's something that happens in every episode. That has been the gift that has kept on giving. And I made that track a long, long time ago. So keep that in mind. Something you create today could be money for you again and again and again. But 31 placements. I did, in the beginning of the year, I really focused on Upwork. I made $470 in Upwork, but most of the work wasn't music related. You have to build up your profile, get some reviews and things like that first. And I wasn't getting picked up for any of the music work. I've reevaluated since then. I want to do 100% sync music all year. That's my main goal. This YouTube channel is not my main goal, although it's been beneficial, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. Upwork gigs is not my main goal. It's just something to supplement my income, once I do make that move, leaving the 9 to 5. Beat store is not the main goal. Working with artists is not the main goal, unless it's for a sync, brief or opportunity. All of that, 100% sync music 2026. That's how we're doing it. Let's see what we can do with it. All right. Pieces of music created, so 17, which is on track for the goal I made at the beginning of the year, but it's a little behind for what I want to do for the rest of the year. And I am going to be ramping up the music that I make in 2026, at least 100, probably closer to 150 by the end of the year is my goal. So I have a lot of work to do. Q1 was really slow for that, but I'll explain why I'm doing that in a moment as well. Libraries attempted. I didn't have to attempt any libraries because the libraries that I'm currently working with are keeping me very busy. But I did get accepted by a new library. I put together a sports project with some amazing talent like Phil DeRill, Frime Beats, Mike Royal, all of these great rap artists and singers. And it got picked up by a library called Audio Attack. So I'm excited to see what happens with that album. The deliverables are in. Really excited to see that. Total hours worked. So I've been tracking my hours this quarter on a weekly basis. Normally, I spend from 12 to 15 hours working. I'm going to try to ramp that up a little bit by adding maybe 30 more minutes per weekday and then a little bit more on the weekends, whereas, the lowest impact to my family, my core job, my other responsibilities, but I do need to up the hours a little bit, and I'm about to explain why. So here we go. So here are the wins from Q1. I'm really excited about this. So first, 3 published albums. They're on my website. If you ever want to, I'll post that in the description as well. If you ever want to go to my website, it's just Dowty, DOWTY, music.com. And you come here. There we go. It has some of the placements that I've had. Saturday Night Live. I got another placement with Saturday Night Live. I'm really excited about that. Work samples, all of that. And if you don't have a website together, don't feel bad, especially if you haven't dipped your toe into getting into sync music. You probably have an artist page or a producer page or something like that. But it's that one place to go where they know you are a professional, that you aren't going to promise to do something and not deliver, that when you're going to take the time to read the details and provide what they need, right? A website is the kind of your gateway in. Think of it as your digital business card. But here we go. I've got 3 published albums. So I'm really excited about this. 2 of them are with Empath, and 1 is with Hard Music Group. This is the one I did with Hard Music Group, which is a Canadian company, which is great because I live in Canada. Just became a citizen of Canada, so now I'm a dual citizen of the U.S. and Canada, which is exciting. I created the music on vacation in February of 2025. Started this album. I had maybe 5 tracks done when I got out of that vacation. Completed it probably by end of March, and I shopped it around, and then somewhere around April or May, Hard Music Group said, yes, we want to sign it. This is the company that I got consideration fees. It was $300 per track, which is great. And it's already, their music gets picked up. I've already had this in 2 placements for college sports programming, which is really cool. So it's only been out maybe a month, and I'm already got an ASCAP statement on it. It's incredible. So excited about that. High Stakes and Dark Shadows and Understated Medical Drama. I have this with Empath Music, which is another great company. I haven't had any placements from them yet, but I haven't had my music with them that long yet either. So we're going to kind of watch and see what happens there. This is a big win for Q1. Also, let me move myself back over here. Also, I have 3 new wins. So I can't say the name of this company, or maybe I can. I don't know. I signed a confidentiality agreement with them, but I've signed on to help with a publishing company that has a direct line to a production company that has multiple hit cable shows. So I'm really excited to do music for them. I've created some music already for them. It's under review. I'm just waiting to be officially assigned to a project and all of that. So I'm super excited about that. And they make music for me and my wife's favorite TV show. So we'll see if that happens. It's really cool, when you actually watch TV and it's something you watch anyway and you hear your music on it. It's really exciting. 21 South. So this company I sent music to a year ago. So it was February of 2025. I sent them new music in, I think it was January. It was this year. It was earlier this year. I think it was in January. I sent them new music. And they wrote me back and they said, hey, congratulations. And I was like, oh, that's great. But it was for that album that Audio Attack ended up picking up, right? So I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. That album's already been picked up, but I'll be happy to collaborate with those same artists and create something similar. And she was like, no. What I mean is we want to sign you as a composer so we can send you briefs and you can, make this music that is in demand and has a high chance of getting placed in a TV show. I was like, yeah, right? So I'm excited about that. They gave me a copy of the contract. I used Claude and ChatGPT to review the contract, and I used another tool to review the contract, and they all pretty much said the same thing. Very standard deal, very good deal, 100% of the writers, right? All of those types of things that you're looking for. So super excited to work with them. And then SMI, which is Sound Manipulations Inc., they're an amazing company as well. I have been with them the longest. So before I decided to go, like, really make an effort to go full on into sync music, I started on the road to 10 placements. So let me take a step back. Road to 10 Placements is a course that was offered by Anthony Clint Jr. He's the one that runs the Sync Producer Hub. But back in those days, this was like maybe 2022, I hired him as a mentor to help me get into sync music. And I did everything he said. I took the course. I learned how to format my music and all of that. Sound Manipulations, Inc. Gave me my first opportunity. I submitted music to them. That track that's on Top Chef VIP that keeps paying me over and over and over again, that was made back then. That was in 2022. So keep that in mind. Music you make today, it could take 5-10 years before somebody picks it up, but when it does, it could be a big opportunity. But they gave me my first chance. I created an album with them. It might have been 2 albums, but then I started getting distracted. Right at the very beginning of this video, I said, I'm doing sync 100%. My problem is, and maybe this is your problem too, is you're always chasing the shiny thing, right? Like you see, oh, maybe this is the way I can become a full-time producer and all of that. And you chase it and you do it for 6 months pretty consistently and steadily. You don't wait for the bamboo garden to pop up and then you're moving on to the next thing because you get impatient. That's me. That was my problem until I started doing all this mindset work. But one day, this was in 2024, towards the end of 2024, I got a royalty statement from ASCAP, and it was like, instead of it being the normal $1.32, it was like, I don't know, 500 and something. And I was like, whoa, where'd all this money come from? And I had learned that I've been getting placements with Sound Manipulations, Inc. on major network TV shows, which was great. And I was like, you know what? I need to see if I can still work with them, if they still have an opportunity for me. And I went just full time. Now, let me go to the music tracker here. Now, music in libraries. Where is that? Here we go. So my SMI, so I have 135 tracks that are in libraries right now. With SMI alone, Sound Manipulations, Inc., I have 91. Which is amazing, right? Like, I've done most of my work with them. They have been amazing. So the reason that I'm bringing this up is I want to talk about this win. So the owner and founder of the company reached out to me and asked me to start doing a different type of music that they have a demand for. It's called case study music. I'm looking for good examples. I'm watching some Dateline NBC, trying to make sure, because I sent one in, it wasn't quite right. I sent another one in, we're going to see if that's right or not. But I love this type of challenge, and I love that they want to work with me on this level. So it's for a major show on NBC, so I'm really excited about that. So next, let's talk about the plan, a few of the nuts and bolts of what you can do to do the same thing I'm doing, at least how I do it. You're going to find your own way, but maybe you'll find a tip or two in this that's going to help you out if you're interested in getting your music into TV and film. I'm assuming if you're watching this, you're at least thinking about it, right? I mean, why would you watch some dude in a red, hoodie going over a spreadsheet unless you were interested in getting your music into TV and film? So let's go. Let's take a look at it. So first, let's start with a task list, right? So one thing that I've done, and yes, I'm a little bit of a nerd. I need to change this to 2026 because it's a new year. Here we go. Is I prioritize my task and I estimate the time that it takes to finish the task, right? So far this week, this is the week of 3/30, the end of March, but it's on the day I'm recording this, it's actually April 4th, and that's why I can do the quarterly recap. I have some formulas here that track how much time I'm spending on number 1 priority work versus, there's 3 and 4 and, some of this other work that I could do if, I have the opportunity. But number 1, actually, I'm taking this out. You see, there's no time estimated with this. This was part of my plan at the beginning of the year, and I'll show you the new goals, the revised goals in a minute. was to reach out to podcast producers, sell my Upwork services. So, audio editing, that type of thing. I'm going 100% sync. So, you know what? We're going to delete the cells and we're going to shift up. There we go. All right. So sync admin work. This is all communicating, sending contracts, reviewing contracts, emails, reaching out to new libraries, all of that. I don't need to reach out to any new libraries at this moment, which is great. When you start out, you reach out to a lot of them and you work with the ones that you can. I'm actually getting some pretty good relationships with a few music libraries so far. So I'm lucky I can spend more time making music. That's what I'm most excited about this year. All right, so I had to deliver a track to Sound Manipulations. Created a couple of tracks. Looks like Crime Tension track is next. Actually, this is different. I'm going to do a dramedy track. Here we go. So dramedy track is next. I would estimate, it depends on the type of track, about 4 hours or so to polish it, make sure it's good, make sure it has all the transitions, it's formatted correctly, mixed well, all of that. I've got it down to about 4 hours. I've heard of other people going a lot faster because you build good templates. But that's what I'm working on this year. I'm going to try to get more efficient, but still make sure I have the same quality. So that's what I'm working on. Freelancing and jobs, you can see this is 3 and 4, so they're not that important. They've taken a back seat to sync music. Like I said, that is number 1. And we're going to delete these rows, make it a little more succinct. Social media. So every 2 weeks, I host a Sync Spotlight show where somebody in the Sync Producer Hub, and if you're interested in the Sync Producer Hub, there's a link in the description if you want to learn more about that. I'll give a little spiel at the end of this if you want to know what it's all about. But I host a show where we put one of the producers or music creators or artists in a spotlight, and we talk about their journey so far and, maybe get some tips on how we could be successful like them. And then chopping and schedule, I've got that down to 30 minutes because I use a tool called Opus Clip, which chops it up for me, and I just schedule it. So if you ever see one of my short videos and you're like, oh, that wasn't edited very well, I'm not editing it. I'm making music for Sync. That's my main goal. So, hey, sorry about that. It's all about time management, right? When you only have so many hours to get something done and you're 100% focused on something, you really got to streamline it. Q2 wrap up, that's what I'm doing right now. You can see this is a 2 priority. I bumped it up to 1 because I finished 2 tracks and I have a long weekend. So, we're recording this now. Once it's done, I will click this checkbox, and this is after, scheduling it and uploading it and all of that. All right. Then finances, so education. I use my commute to work, like I drive to work every day, and I use my commute to as my school classroom, right? So every morning I actually invested in, and I'm counting this as an expense, into YouTube Premium. And I went back and forth on it a lot. I watch YouTube all the time to learn. Plus, you get the music with it where you don't have to listen to ads. You can choose the song you listen to. You can build playlists and all that. And this is kind of something I need. So, and when you are deciding your expenses, it's super important to really examine what you can live with and what you can live without and what gets you closer to your goal. Sometimes you buy something because it seems like it might be fun to play with, but I like plugins, for example. I only buy a plugin if it's a certain brief and there's a certain sound that I need that I don't have in my current setup. And when I do that, I see if there's free samples first, right? Is there a free sample I could use, like a one shot or something? But I mean, that's basically it. It's like if the need's there, get the plugin if it makes sense. Otherwise, man, you gotta streamline it. While we're on that subject, like I track all of my expenses. The ones in yellow are annual fees. For example, Restream, what I use to host my show, was about $100 more than this. This is in Canadian money. It's about $100 more than this when I bought a yearly subscription. This is when it's due in September. When this time comes, I'm going to switch to Streamlabs because they have a $12 a month plan, which is going to be a lot make a lot more sense, and I can still do everything that I want, and it's in 1080p instead of 720. So, right. So track your spending. Make sure if you buy a plugin, any of that, even if you're not doing it as a business, track it anyway, just to know how much you're spending on plugins and, web hosting and other tools. ChatGPT. So I've switched from ChatGPT to Claude. That's a whole other video on why I did that. I don't want to get into that, but track your spending, right? And then that way you know what your expenses are, what your income is, and what your profit is, especially if you want to turn this into a business. You got to have your business hat on. Last year I had about $4,000 in expenses. This year so far I am slated to get close to 2,000 is where I'm trying to stay under. But education needs to be part of your plan, right? So I'm going to get better at orchestrating music in FL Studio. I found a creator there that has really good tutorials. So I'm doing that. And then Mindset Mentor. Like I said, every morning I watch one of his, they're about 20-minute podcasts. And it's when I'm in the shower and getting ready, I just listen, right? And I don't have any commercials because it's on YouTube. And then affirmations and meditation. That's part of the 90-day challenge, which I'll explain later, but it's all about rewiring the person you are, your identity, the way you think, the thoughts that come into your head to become the person that is, the person that you want to be. In this case, full-time music composer. And then I have this hours tracker tab right here, so you can see how much time I've been spending on priority, how much is non-priority, total hours spent chasing this sync music thing. Music tracker, so over here, when I create a new piece of music, I put it over here and just track how many I've done each month. And I have a lot of other spreadsheet tabs, but I'm not going to bore you with those. All of this to say, if you're interested in doing something like that, just come up with your own system that makes sense to you, but some organization, at least track what you're spending, track how much music you're making, know how many of them are in libraries, things like that. That way you can give yourself some congratulations as you go. I've had some huge successes recently, so I'm just full of congratulations right now to myself, but there are going to be times where you go 3-4 months and maybe you don't see a placement and you're like, why am I putting all this work in? I'm working every day, I'm not getting anywhere. You start to have thoughts like that, right? But if you track your progress, you can congratulate yourself just for that progress and just for being consistent, because you know what? Most people give up. You don't have to be the most talented. You don't have to be the most gifted. You don't have to have the most resources. You don't have to have the best setup or plugins or any of that. What you need is to be consistent and just outlast everybody else, because everybody, like 99% of the people out there, are giving up. All right, real quick, here are my revised goals for 2026. So earn at least $10,000 in music revenue with $7K profit, reduce expenses to under $3K. I'm aiming for under $2K if possible. Whatever I can cut out, I'm going to definitely be a cheapskate this year. Create 100 pieces of music and have 200 in music libraries. I might up this goal to more like, 120. Because I want to do at least 3 tracks a week, and that rounds out to about 150, 6 or something like that for the year, if I was to do it every single week. But you got to remember, life gets in the way sometimes, and you're not able to hit all of that. So I'm gonna bump it up to 120 though, just to meet the demand of these music libraries. Learn 3 skills. So we are changing this from freelancing to mindset. So finance, I'm just talking about learning more about retirement, what types of accounts to use, when to pull money out, how much to save, all of that kind of stuff, and how to make this money work for me instead of working for my money. The cool thing about Sync is that it is passive income, so you don't have to do any additional work and you can still receive royalties for that. Level up my orchestral music in FL Studio, and then the mindset as well. So continuing that routine of doing meditations and visualizations in the morning with affirmations and the Mindset Mentor podcast. Continue the mindset routine. There you go. Exactly. So 10K in revenue. all I'm going to do is work on growing and building those relationships, letting them know I am a person they can count on, who delivers what they're asking for, and who's easy to work with and will make revisions with no problem in a timely manner, all of that kind of stuff, because that's probably a music library would much rather work with somebody that is easy to work with and makes pretty good music versus somebody that makes amazing music but they can't get a hold of them, or they're not responsive, or they didn't listen to the brief, or they don't understand the details, all of those types of things, right? So I'm really going to try to grow those music library relationships this year, and then do at least 3 tracks a week. I've changed my schedule, so after work I'm going to be staying a little longer in the studio, and we're going to make this happen. And then here's the education plan. All right, let me talk to you in the big camera. Let's go. All right, so earlier in the video, I mentioned we would talk about YouTube and what it can do for you if you're trying to be a sync composer. When I first started out, I wanted to monetize YouTube. Like, that was my #1 goal. That is no longer my #1 goal because, like I said, 100% sync music. That's what I'm focused on. But it's a great tool that you can have, social media in general, right? So you post your progress, you can post your music, all of that. It's been working really great for me. I've gotten to get to know people in the Sync Producer Hub a lot better, learn more about them, meet them, I mean, as face-to-face as you can be, virtually, right? I actually did meet some of them face-to-face going to a conference last year called Shades of Sync. And the really cool thing is, if you get some of these new libraries that I'm working with, they may ask for a brief that needs an artist or a rapper, or maybe they have a specialization that you don't, maybe they're a guitar player or something like that. So it just opens up your collaboration world where you can reach out to these other people that are in the industry that have the same mindset as you, that work as hard as you, and put together some amazing music to answer these briefs where before you just couldn't do it alone. So that's really cool. That's one thing you can use YouTube for if you're interested in like starting your own YouTube channel or something like that. I suppose I could put some advertising behind this and, try to blow it up, but 100% sync music first, right? That is 2026. It's all about making great music, making it faster, paying attention to the details, getting better with my deliverables, all of that kind of stuff. So I hope this video has been helpful to you. If you are somebody that's interested in getting your music into TV and film, like I am, like some others are in the Sync Producer Hub, there is a link to the Sync Producer Hub below. It's run by Anthony Clint Jr. He's had years and years and years of experience in many, 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 many placements. I don't know how many, but a ton, right? So he's put together all of these great courses. You follow it step by step, and you will get your music into TV and film. If you listen, you pay attention, you put in the work, it will happen. Keep in mind, it's a bamboo experience, right? It's the long game. It's a snowball effect. So you do have to put up a lot of work up front. But there's a link in there if you want to learn more about that. I hope this video has been helpful to anybody out there that, I hope this video has been helpful to you. If it has, be sure to subscribe so you can follow the journey. Like I said, I'm 100% sync music focused right now, so I'll probably only be posting, a couple of videos every month, something like that, because I'm so focused on the other thing, right? So keep that in mind, but subscribe. You can go back in my history and see how the journey's been so far, all of the lessons I've learned along the way. And I would say if you're interested in that 90-day challenge, check out this video, and I'll let you know what I did, and then I would say if you're interested in the 90-day challenge, watch this video. I'll show you how it started. This one's how it started, and then maybe by the time you're watching this video, there is a wrap-up video as well that tells you how it ended and where we are now. All right? Cool. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.